A következő előadónk Sándor Renáta. Adat- és célorientált marketing szakember küldetése, hogy segítse a vállalatokat a legjobb ügyfélélmény megteremtésében. Már 11 éve dolgozik ebben a szakmában. A Chicagói DePaul Egyetemen szerzett mesterdiplomát. Szeretettel üdvözöljük és köszöntjük konferenciánkon, kérjük, ossza meg tapasztalatait a közönséggel.
Bocsánat, jó napot mindenki! Most elosztom a prezentációmat, mindjárt felkapcsolom a kamerámat is. Sziasztok! Jó van. Hoppa, ezt akartam. Oké, szuper. Akkor itt mindenki lássa, remélem. Na akkor, ahogy mondták, nevem Sándor Renáta, én Vásárhelyen születtem, Amerikában, szóval Chicagóban nőttem fel, és most pedig Svájcban élek, szóval majdnem mindenhol laktam. Mivel angolul tanultam, angolul dolgozok, ez a prezentáció angolul lesz. A végén lesznek kérdések, szóval magyarul vagy angolul, csak nekem egy kicsit könnyebb angolul, szóval kezdjük. So I'm going to switch to English now. And yeah, let's get started. So this presentation is, let me just take a step back, is about my experiences, my learnings. I wanted to share some tools that I use during my marketing career currently that I've used in the past years, which you can also use, which have been great tips and tools for me as I have branched and learned more and more about marketing. So before I dive into marketing, a little background on me. I actually originally went to school for forensic chemistry. I loved crime shows, but that quickly changed after some more advanced chemistry classes. And then it changed to communications and Spanish. So I also love the Spanish language, and so I wanted to learn more about that as well. In the United States, we typically have internships during our undergraduate careers. And I worked at 2 different radio stations. Here we helped focus on promoting events and promoting concerts and festivals, which was very fun. We were out in the streets all day doing more grassroots marketing. So going up to people as they were walking down the street, sharing and talking to them about the festivals and concerts that we have coming up, which was very exciting. Then these internships typically last about 3 months. And as my internships ended, I decided to look for a job focused more in digital marketing. And so I can utilize what I learned in school in a more effective way. And so from the radio station, I moved and I started my career at a digital marketing agency in Chicago. Here you can see me at a conference back in, I believe it was 2014. But to take a step back to this agency, I was actually their first hire. So there was about 3 of us in the company when it first started. And it was really cool to see the company grow and develop throughout the 4 years that I was there. Personally, I love working at small companies because I can truly see the impact that I'm making in the day-to-day work. And so I've always actually worked at startups and small companies versus larger ones. And at this company, I started as a writer, and then I moved more into sales, then helped promote events, run conferences such as this one, but those were in person back a long time before COVID. I helped run booths, and overall I was an account manager. So I had my clients, and I was focused on SEO, content, social media, etc. From that, I also launched a video series dedicated to highlighting small business owners and entrepreneurs giving advice. So I interviewed about 60 entrepreneurs, and they talked to me about the challenges they face growing their business, how they've overcome their challenges, and what led them to where they are today. And so this was really cool because I hope one day I can own my own business, and learning from these different entrepreneurs and business owners on how they actually got started was really beneficial for me. So I want to take a step back and jump into SEO, which is search engine optimization, if you don't know, and share a few tools, and specifically one tool that I have used, which has helped me as I learned more about SEO and being able to perform SEO analyses. So really reviewing a website um, and helping companies improve the content that they write and share so they can be found online. I mean, ultimately, especially nowadays, people find a company by either word of mouth, so other people telling them, or just by Google, going to Google and typing in something that they're looking for. They get a list of companies, etc. So SEO is all about ranking in Google and being shown up. So a tool that has been very helpful for me when I was looking at SEO, etc., for my clients is SEMrush, which you can see here. And here on the left-hand side, which I have highlighted in red, is all the capabilities that this tool can do. So it allows you to quickly see changes in key organic traffic and paid traffic metrics, allows you to track the authority score, essentially what Google is looking at to make sure that you're ranking within their search engine, and give you other third-party data sets, etc. What's cool about this tool is it's actually free, so you can really play around with it. And then there's paid versions as well, but honestly, I have used it mainly for free because why not? And so I wanted to dive even more deeper into this tool here. So it shows you the authority score. And again, Google gives every single website an authority score. And this is, the higher the score, the better chances that you will have in ranking in Google. So really showing up on that first page of Google. Of course, a new website have a lower authority score. As you write more content and you have other websites linking back to yours, that authority score goes up. So this specifically is actually with the company that I currently work for, so a more real life example. The second portion is the organic search traffic. So it's actually looking at how much traffic your website is getting on average in a month from Google. So from organic search of people that are searching for your company and not clicking on those ads that you might see at the top of Google, but really on the below in the row 1 through 10. Next, you see the backlinks. So the backlinks is really interesting, and this is actually looking at other websites which are linking back to your website. And what's important with backlinks is Google, so the main search engine, and that's why I'm talking about Google, is that it's actually looking at, do other websites find you credible, find your website and your content credible? And through that, the more backlinks you have, the better. That being said, it's important to make sure that these are reliable web sources that are linking back to yours. And that's further and deeper into SEO. This is just the surface level. But this tool like SEMrush allows you to see a lot of this stuff. So one step deeper into SEMrush is it can also show you your organic search positions, meaning what are keywords that people would type into Google to find your website. And so here you can see, again, just an example of a company that I currently work for. You can see here, they're ranking for keywords such as marketing certification, CMS wire. This is the company name itself. Of course, every company is going to rank for their own company name for the most part, and some other ones. Now, what's interesting as well is it shows you what position you are at in Google. So marketing certification, position number 1. Of course, this also depends on the country that you're in. So this is focused on the United States, but you can change the countries depending on what country you want to focus on. May that be Hungary, Spain, Switzerland, Romania, whatever that may be. Next, it also shows you the volume. So the amount of people on average a month which are searching for those keywords. Of course, the higher the volume, so higher the number, that means more people are searching, but that also means it is harder to rank for. So here, the fourth one down, you can see over 22,000 people on average a month are searching for Google Ads certification. So we're ranked number 10. It's pretty low. It's at the bottom of the search engine. But it's also because there's so many people also competing for this specific keyword. Now, lastly, you can see the URL. So you can actually see which website landing page on your website, so which specific landing page on your website is ranking for these specific keywords. So again, here, if we see number 10 for Google Ads certification and we go to this website and we see maybe it is a blog article, then we want to maybe work more on that website's content to get it a little bit more defined, get other websites to link to that page to ultimately slowly start to get us higher in Google search engine. So next, in addition to SEO, I mentioned that when I was first starting out, I also focused on social media and creating social media strategies for companies. And creating a social media strategy first starts with understanding the business, asking the right questions to the clients in order to get the ultimate goal of what is the message that you want to come across to your audience. And going back to the basics, we want to understand what is the tone of voice that you want things to come across in. What are the things you want to say in your social media? What are things you don't say in your social media? And so there's a few questions that I typically ask my clients, and this here on the screen is an example of a social media voice guide, just one slide of a 20-slide deck of questions that I ask for a certain client. So here, the first box in the top left, we want to understand the character, the persona of the company. And so the character of the persona that is writing this content that we want to come across as intelligent, strong, optimistic. This client specifically was a woman empowerment non-for-profit, and so a lot of the content they were providing needed to be optimistic and progressive and collaborative. Then we want to understand the tone. So how do you want your content to come across? We want it to be positive, supportive, uplifting. Now the language, what type of language is the content that you're writing? We want to make sure we're informative and inclusive and powerful. And lastly, what is the purpose? Why do you have a social media channel to begin with? Because they wanted to empower women. They wanted to engage, so really have people interact and inspire and connect. And every single company is going to have different characters and tone and language and purpose because every single company is different. And the message that they want to come across and how they want this message to come across is going to be different. Now, to take a step even deeper into the voice guide, it's also we want to understand what type of content that we want to write. And so after we build the social media strategy, one of the last slides, it is a slide that looks kind of similar to this. So for this specific client, it was the content type, okay, we wanted to make sure that we're sharing news and statistics, articles, and then we give a definition of what does this mean? Well, information that women are underrepresented or why the company came to be, etc. Influencers, they wanted to engage with influencers in the space by tagging them in relevant posts, trending topics, wanting to become in the middle of conversations that are about the topics that they want to be in, and etc. And then also important to see is the frequency. So they want to make sure that 30% of the content that they're pushing out is more news and statistics articles, and then it trickles down. And this helps because when a social media strategist or a marketer is creating the social media content for a client, they now know exactly what is the tone of voice, how do they want to get their message across, but then also what they should be writing about. And so when you're creating a weekly social media strategy, a voice guide and something like that is very important because it guides you, and anyone stepping into this role is able to step in and know exactly what they have to do, what they have to write, etc. So as I was in the field for a few years, I came across a TED Talk, a Simon Sinek TED Talk, which changed my whole entire perception of the way I work and how companies present themselves. I hope you will receive this presentation at the end. If not, my contact details are at the end. But in my presentation, I'm linking all of these websites. And specifically, I also linked this Simon Sinek TED Talk called How Great Leaders Inspire Action. And the TED Talk itself is in English, but they also have Hungarian subtitles. And so you can also read it, but I highly suggest that every single one of you go and watch this video or read that transcript, because for me, it totally changed my perception of marketing. And so the whole essence of this TED Talk is people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So with my clients, we started focusing on the core of a company and truly getting into the mindset that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. It's about purpose. Of course, as a company, you're here to sell your products. You want to make money, but why? Why do you do it? Is it to create a better lifestyle for people to be healthier? Is it to educate the world on the benefits of, I don't know, whatever your product may be? Of course, again, you want to sell your products, but people aren't going to connect with, I don't know, something. For example, Apple, or just the world of computers. There's so many different computer companies out in the world, right? But you have a company like Apple that they don't, of course they have their Apple computers, etc., but they talk about the design aspect, and people are connected to Apple. They can buy any computers. There's computers that are much cheaper than Apple, but people are drawn to buy a MacBook. And why is that? It's because they have a purpose behind who they are as a company, and they've written articles about this, so I highly suggest to also check those out. But it's about purpose and branding. Branding is so important. And so because of this TED Talk, I shifted my focus to branding first and marketing second. Because once you figure out the core of who you are as a company, or you help companies figure out their core, you change your messaging, you change what you want to portray to the world. And so, for example, I worked for a company, or one of my clients was a company, Crane. They sell humidifiers, okay? They can easily say that we sell humidifiers, and that's it. Their website can just have a lot of pictures of humidifiers or something like that. But no, they don't do that. They say we design for a better living. What does that mean? I mean, honestly, probably people don't know. but it's about the way that they're speaking, the way that they describe their product. A little bit underneath here, they say designed with efficiency, function, style, and your family's health in mind. So they want to they're bringing this health aspect to their products, because humidifiers ultimately help people live a better life by being able to breathe easier and be healthier. So again, it's not buy this humidifier, it's about why you should buy this humidifier, because it gives you a healthier way of life, breathing, lifestyle. And they have a really cool design, so that's also a part of the reason why they're pulling in the word, for example, design. And so I help companies find their purpose through interviews with leadership teams and employees to help them craft their marketing strategy and completely rebrand with the team. So back in the day, we also created an online publication focused on this as well. So I brought this purpose to my grad school final paper, where we ended up submitting our final research to the Arthur W. Page Society annual Marketing Communications Conference. This conference is specific to, it's an association for senior public relations and corporate communications executives and educators. And so we actually ended up winning first prize, which was really cool, but it was scary as well. They flew us out to New York. I was speaking in front of marketing and communications professionals from the world's largest companies. And this trickled into me writing some op-eds, so writing articles specifically about purpose, and just being a millennial working in startups. So I wanted to dive deeper into the European market. And so I moved to Spain, and I lived in Spain for 2 years. And I worked to rebrand an international marketing research company, which was fun. But then halfway through meetings, people would then start speaking Spanish. And I understand Spanish, but speaking is hard for me. And so that was a bit challenging. But here at the top, you can see this was their old website. So it was all about, hey, you should fill out this survey and we'll send you gifts. And it's like, how do I get my invitation? Very bland. And through interviews we had with customers and with leadership, we came to a rebrand that looks like this. Share the moment, get rewarded. It's all about people sharing their opinions because they matter. And by sharing your opinion, hey, you're able to receive some free gifts. So why not? So it totally changed, and it really helped evolve this company into who they are today. And then I came to Switzerland, where I did the same with a Swiss company. Now, kind of going back to tools, in my current role, I focus a lot on ad creation, where we promote landing pages to get people to download various pieces of content. And so Canva is what I use. And Canva actually does have a Hungarian website as well, so you can change it to Hungarian. So here is the Hungarian screenshot of it. But as you can see here, there's a lot of really cool things that you can do with Canva. And again, it's free, so why not? Give it a go and try it out. But with Canva, I use this for creating banners, so ad banners that live on various websites, to thumbnails, landing page covers, newsletters. You can see all the awesome things that you can do and create with Canva. Me personally, I am not a designer. I can't even draw a dog. So I don't feel I'm creative that way. But tools like Canva really allow me to be a designer, and really allow me to, and has taught me how I should better my design skills. And so I can create ads and newsletters because they have templates, and then I'm shifting things. You can change colors, etc. Highly suggest to go check out Canva. And so here are some things that you can do. So as I created those images, it also shows you complementary colors. Again, if you're not a designer, you may not know those things, and super easy to use. Now, another tool I use is Smart Mockups. And Smart Mockups is really cool because it allows you to put a picture into, let's say, a book into a computer, onto a t-shirt. So again, it allows you to be a designer without maybe being one. And I use these tools all of the time for my clients, for just myself because it's cool and fun to play around. Smart mockups as well. They have a free version, so all you have to do is sign up. Of course, if you want to have access to more imagery, etc., you do have to pay. But I mean, especially as you're learning about these different platforms that can ultimately help your marketing career and set yourself up for success as you work at a company or as you work with clients, why not give it a try? And so we're getting towards the end, but kind of talking a little bit more about the company that I currently work for. I work for a publication focused on customer experience and digital experience and the digital workplace. And so this is something that has changed tremendously in the world of COVID. We've clearly seen the customer experience has shifted to a much more digital landscape more than ever before. And because of this, the way that we communicate with our customers must change as well. Back in the day, everyone was going to stores to buy shirts or to buy maybe a computer or something like that. Even to, or go to a restaurant to pick up your food. And now everything has turned digital for the most part. People are ordering more things online, so the e-commerce business has boomed. You're ordering your food online, so the way and the experience of a food app, you're ordering taxis from Uber to Lyft or other companies, Bolt, online. Before, you had to walk out on the street and hold your hand up and hope there's a free taxi coming. So a lot has changed, and as a marketer and focusing on digital is so important, and focusing on SEO to make sure you're even found when someone is searching for a product that you can offer, or a food app, for example. And not only has the customer experience changed, but also the employee experience in the digital workplace. So companies have shifted to remote working more than ever before. Those who thought they will never have their employees work from home have been forced to realize that, hey, employees actually do get their work done when they're working from home or from the couch. Conferences like this probably used to be in person, where someone would be on stage presenting about this topic, and now it's virtual. Look, we're all on Google Meet. And so because of this, no matter what, if someone is in the office, on a stage in front of you, or digitally, it has changed. And at the end of the day, it's about trust. You have to trust your employees that they're going to get their work done. And so at my company, we have podcasts focused on these topics. So if you're interested, I link those as well in this presentation under. But we interview individuals focused on the customer experience, so professionals, industry experts, on these various topics of how has the world of work changed in the past, few years, and not even just because of COVID, but just from the past 5-10 years. The way that our parents worked is much different than the way that we work as well, right? And the customer experience in whole. And so I will leave you with this. The world of marketing and advertising is changing. And so are you ready to change and learn as it grows? And so I will leave my contact details at the end. Of course, feel free to email me if you have any questions. That's my personal email. I also linked my LinkedIn, so you can feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, Renáta, for your presentation. In the chat, we have some questions for you. I will read it for you.
Okay.
The first one, it says, the SEO seems to change almost every year. Anyway, is there an aspect that haven't changed? Is there a baseline to know and to do to improve our site?
Yeah, good question. Yes, you are absolutely right. SEO does change a lot of the times, and you have to Google Analytics, specifically Google. You can see they always come out with new algorithms, but the new algorithms actually does not change all that often, maybe a few times a year, and you can see those spikes. At the end of the day, you still need to write content. You still have a specific target or product that you're trying to sell. And so if you want to make sure that you're ranking in Google or whatever search engine for these various products, you constantly are going to have to be creating content. And with SEMrush, you can dive even deeper into it and learn what other keywords you should focus on. And so I highly suggest to even just go in and do a trial and get these kind of insights, because it's very easy and it's free. So why not?
Okay. The next is for a new company, what do you suggest? If you visit a marketing agency, a PR agency, or a copywriter, then what should we look for in them? What questions should we ask it in the first place to them?
Mm-hmm. So I think in the beginning, especially, it starts with branding and copywriting and the content that you're coming across. Of course, PR is important, etc. But the way that you are ultimately going to be portraying your content on your website is important. So you want to make sure that they understand, hey, do you know SEO in general? And that they can create an SEO strategy for you if that's something that, you personally don't want to do or you don't have focus in. A marketing agency should be able to, they should understand what SEO is, and they can create SEO strategies for companies, as well as create content strategies and social media strategies. Because once you have those strategies in place, you can have anyone follow those steps and create your content for you. And so what's important is to make sure that they understand that and start with the strategy and really understanding your business and who you are, and then everything else builds from it. And so you have to start with understanding your SEO, understanding how you're going to portray yourself to your audience, and then everything else will flow after.
All right. Can you say some taboo themes that we should avoid during managing social media platforms?
Say some, I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Taboo.
Oh, taboo things that you should avoid. Yeah, so one thing that I have seen a lot of companies do is that they always just talk about themselves on their social media channels. So it's always about, hey, here are new products, this is what we're doing. And it's not always just about you specifically as a company. I mean, it goes back to branding. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And so after that TED Talk, I started working with clients and really having them understand you can't always just be talking about yourself on social media, but pull in maybe other articles, pull in other things that are being talked about in your industry that you care about and you want to share with your audience. So I think that's one of the number one things is stop talking only about yourself and pull in some other aspects as well.
Okay. Somebody asked that if I want to make a company as prestigious as Apple, what kind of tips you can suggest for us?
Yeah. So this also, again, goes back to branding. Apple didn't get to where they, of course they got to where they are because they have nice products, etc. But you can see how they have shifted the way that they communicate with their audience and the messaging and the look and feel of their website. They completely went through a rebrand, and the way that they're communicating with their audience is much different than the way that they communicated with their audience maybe 10 years ago. And so it's going to be about branding and really understanding who you are as a company and what is that message you want to come across and what do you believe in. And then slowly other people are going to start believing in that too. It might start off very slow, because it does, let's be honest. It's even with SEO, it starts off being very slow. It's going to take time. You can't expect that it's going to happen overnight. You can't expect that it's going to happen in a month or 2 months. But you have to stay consistent with your messaging of what you come across. And slowly but surely, you'll get more and more people on board with who you are as a company. And then they're going to want to buy from you versus someone else that might sell a similar product or might have a similar publication or whatever that may be.
All right, we have 2 further questions. What do you think about these programs which are driven by AI, artificial intelligence? Will they conquer this field of work too in the next few years, or is it really possible in your experience?
I don't know if I understand that question. So
we
it's
can
about,
skip it if you want.
here, let me. Okay, here, let me read it as well. What do you think about these programs which are driven by AI? Will they conquer the field? Honestly, I don't know. One thing that's interesting, I don't remember the tool itself. I believe it was from, I can't think of the company. It's a huge company. But what they did was they were able to analyze a website and pull out specific keywords and share like, oh, this website based on our AI has a more positive message, or it's actually very angry. You should change your messaging, etc. I think AI it has to get even more intelligent. I mean, at the end of the day, I personally don't believe you can replace humans. I think they need us. The world of marketing needs us. Of course, there's AIs out there that will write your social media posts and then just like post it, and it's not a real person that wrote it. But I don't know. I think will always need us. Or I don't want my job to go away. I don't know.
I agree with that. And we have one last question for you. How can a marketing specialist identify with multiple companies simultaneously?
Yeah, so the way I understand this question is, how can, as a marketing specialist, potentially have multiple different clients and identify with them and be able to work with them. And at the end of the day, again, every company is different. And so you do have to really put yourself in the mindset of that specific company when you are working with them. So, for example, back in the day, I would have maybe 10 to 15 clients that I would work on, and they were very different clients. And, a car company is very different than a women empowerment publication. And so you really do have to put your focus when you're working for a specific company or on a specific company on that. And it goes back to that social media strategy. Make sure that you're always reminding yourself, this is the way that, the content should be written, or whatever that may be. So it's really when you're working on a company, make sure that you're focused on that specific company at that time, because it can be a lot, especially when you have a lot of clients, to get mixed up in how you should write your content as you're writing it.
Okay, and I see there is one more question. Are you satisfied with the DePaul University has given to you?
Yes, I am. I mean, I personally, I loved going to DePaul because we had a lot of people actually in the field working in marketing that would come into our classes and talk with us, and do things like this. So it wasn't always a teacher who has never worked in the field of marketing talking to me about marketing. This teacher also worked in marketing, and now they're talking about it. DePaul was the one that granted me the opportunity to that award, which I won, where I flew to New York and spoke in front of the communications specialist, which was so scary. But I would have never been able to do that if it wasn't for that university. So I think it's so important when universities and schools do things such as this, to have real people come in that are working in the field of marketing, so you have it more on a tangible basis versus all theoretical about someone that may never have worked in marketing. So yes, I think that they had a great education.
All right, thank you for your presentation and for your answers. I hope it was a pleasure for you to be with us. So
Yeah,
we say have a nice day to you.
Thank you, and feel free to reach out to me with any questions. You can find me on LinkedIn, as I mentioned, also on my email.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Kasi